Imagine this: 53 warriors, armed with nothing but rifles, courage, and the land itself, holding off an army of 400 soldiers, for months, in one of the most unforgiving battlefields on Earth. This isn't a Hollywood fantasy. This is the Modoc War, a fight so brutal, so shocking, the U.S. government tried to erase it from history. A man called Captain Jack. His crime? Refusing to surrender his people's homeland. His punishment? A betrayal that would stain America's conscience forever. This is the story of how a handful of outgunned fighters outsmarted the U.S. Army, humiliated a general, and paid the ultimate price. A story of resistance. A story they didn't want you to know. Most people have never heard this story, but by the end of this video, you'll understand why it's one of the wildest, darkest chapters in American history. Stick around, because what happened next changed everything. But before we continue, please make sure you like and subscribe to our channel to support our growing community. April 17th, 1873. As dawn breaks over California's lava beds, 53 Modoc warriors take their positions. Against them, over 400 U.S. soldiers with artillery and rifles. This isn't just a battle, it's the climax of decades of betrayal, broken promises, and one tribe's desperate fight for survival. Following the clash a day prior, the assault was set for dawn on the 17th. Both forces moved along the Siskiyou Trail from southern Oregon. The find ignited the California conflict, seen as rebellion. In the years that followed, they pushed the Modoc to rejoin the warriors. Gunfire erupted fiercely, surpassing the previous day's intensity. The initial battle saw troops advancing toward the Modoc's strong defenses, 400 soldiers against just 53 Modoc fighters. Many settlers and farmers resisted war, and with the U.S. embroiled in the Civil War, authorities avoided further clashes. Their homeland near Tule Lake was where they hunted, fished, and foraged. In March 1851, Abraham Thompson, a mule train worker, struck gold near Waurika. The Modoc had coexisted peacefully with settlers, especially Waurika's miners. But as newcomers flooded the upper Klamath Basin, fencing land for cattle, the natives lost their grounds. By 1864, the U.S. compelled the Modoc into a treaty with the Klamath and Yahuskin, relocating all three to Oregon's Klamath Reservation. The issue? The Modoc and Klamath clashed. The reservation sat on Klamath territory, where the Modoc faced hostility. Years later, Chief Kimpowash, Captain Jack, led his band off the reservation, returning to Tule Lake. The U.S. government saw this as defiance. The Modoc War didn't erupt suddenly, it stemmed from decades of tension. Life was brutal, food was scarce, discrimination and skirmishes were constant. Many Modocs starved, while settlers feared native raids. The gold rush had drawn 2,000 miners to Thompson's diggings via the old immigrant trail, cutting through Modoc land. The Modoc sought their own reservation near Oregon's Lost River and Tule Lake. But as settlers took over, conflict simmered. When the moment came, officers Greene and Bernard ordered the attack. The siege of the Stronghold had just begun. The Modoc refused to comply and remained on their ancestral lands. In 1872, the U.S. Army was dispatched to forcibly relocate them. Determined to resist, the Modoc retreated into a natural fortress in the lava beds, swiftly stockpiling supplies, including cattle, to fortify their position. That November, tensions erupted into a skirmish at Lost River, where the Modoc emerged victorious. Amassed Colonel Wheaton, responding to the setback, mobilized additional troops and called for reinforcements from Forts Harney, Bidwell, and Vancouver. He deployed 2 companies of Oregon Volunteers and a California militia unit to support the regular army. Wheaton soon commanded roughly 300 regular soldiers and 100 volunteers, poised to confront the Modoc, who numbered around 160, with only 53 warriors. Misinterpreting scout reports, Wheaton overestimated the Modoc's strength at 150 fighters, believing his forces held a 2.5 to 1 advantage, though the true ratio was closer to 7.5 to 1. Wheaton devised a pincer strategy to encircle the Modoc in the lava beds. From the west, Major Greene led one attack force, while Wheaton personally commanded the main strike group, combining infantry and cavalry. Artillery support, directed by Lieutenant W. Miller, bolstered the assault. The northern edge of the lava beds bordered Tule Lake, and Wheaton positioned the Oregon Volunteers and California militia to block the southern escape routes. However, the Modoc refused to wait passively. On December 21st, they launched a surprise raid. Their scouts had spotted a lightly guarded supply wagon, escorted by just 5 cavalrymen, and ambushed it. 2 troopers fell wounded, though their comrades returned fire, holding off the attackers until reinforcements arrived. Both wounded soldiers later succumbed to their injuries. Meanwhile, Wheaton pressed forward with his assault plans. The Modoc, leveraging their knowledge of the rugged terrain, transformed the lava beds into an impregnable stronghold. Fresh water from Tule Lake sustained them, and their defenses proved formidable. When news of the Army's initial failure reached Fort Klamath, Major Greene rallied his remaining forces and alerted Wheaton, who continued to orchestrate the campaign from Camp Warner. Deflated Anja's Eastern Pincer Force prepared to advance under Captain Bernard's command. Without prior reconnaissance, Wheaton had little idea of the challenges his troops would face. The terrain was harsh. Jagged ravines and narrow passes forced Bernard's cavalry to dismount in places, leaving them exposed to Modoc fire. Bernard, a veteran of the 1850s campaigns against Apache chief Cochise, refused to move blindly. His plan was to support Major Greene's main assault from the west, but dense fog on January 17th reduced visibility to just 50 yards. Despite the obscuring mist, Bernard ordered his men forward at dawn, advancing in staggered intervals of 25 yards. Almost immediately, the Modoc unleashed a devastating barrage, fiercer than the previous day's skirmish. A lieutenant fell wounded, soon replaced, as Bernard's troops struggled across the fractured lava beds. Realizing his advance was faltering, Bernard ordered a fighting retreat, each company withdrawing in turn while providing covering fire for the next. Meanwhile, Major Greene's larger force pushed forward from the west. Captain David Perry led the cavalry, attempting to flank the Modoc stronghold from the southwest. But the rough terrain stalled Perry's advance at a deep ravine, forcing his men to dismount under heavy fire. Bernard, fearing encirclement, personally led a charge to drive back the Modoc and prevent his men from being overrun. Though initially successful, the Modoc counterattacked, shifting leftward to outflank the retreating cavalry. With casualties mounting, 1 dead and 5 wounded evacuated to Hospital Rock, Bernard called a full withdrawal. As the army fell back, the Modoc broke off pursuit, returning to their defenses to tend to their own wounded. The failed assault left Wheaton's strategy in disarray, proving the strength of the Modoc's natural fortress. The soldiers quickly became immobilized, unable to advance or withdraw. Greene then commanded his infantry forward, extracting the pinned cavalry while preparing for another assault. The Modoc remained securely entrenched after their astonishing victory against overwhelming odds, 53 warriors defeating 400 troops. As winter set in, snow blanketed the exposed army camps, compounding their hardships. Greene's forces initially gained 300 yards toward a planned southeastern attack, but encountered the same impassable ravine that had stopped Perry earlier. Rather than linking with Bernard's position as ordered, Greene redirected his infantry northward toward Tule Lake, seeking an alternate approach. Bernard's troops, advancing southward through thick fog at 5-yard intervals, found themselves equally stalled by terrain and fierce Modoc resistance. When the fog lifted at sunset, Greene coordinated with Bernard and halted the ineffective artillery barrage. The Modoc fighters maintained perfect concealment. Not a single warrior had been spotted by Federal troops. Their defensive positions proved so formidable that infantrymen were forced to take cover until nightfall permitted retreat. Green personally led a northern charge, but Modoc sharpshooters swiftly redirected fire to repel the assault. The battle's toll was devastating: 42 dead and 53 wounded, including 9 officers, mostly from Green's infantry. The surviving regular troops faced demoralizing conditions, while California riflemen and Oregon volunteers abandoned the campaign. Artillery shells fired blindly through fog often overshot targets completely. Though some units reached Bernard's position, Modoc counterfire pinned them down mercilessly. This disastrous first assault on the Stronghold left U.S. forces thoroughly dispirited. The Modoc's hidden firing positions created a deadly kill zone where soldiers became easy targets. With winter conditions worsening and morale collapsing, the Army's situation appeared increasingly hopeless against the entrenched natives. The U.S. Army found itself in a desperate position, trapped between the Modoc's unyielding defenses and the brutal winter elements. Despite superior numbers, they had been outmaneuvered at every turn. The Modoc, entrenched in their volcanic fortress, had turned the lava beds into an impenetrable stronghold, proving that determination and knowledge of the land could defy even the might of the U.S. military. For the soldiers, the aftermath was bleak. The snow-covered camps became symbols of their failed campaign, while the Modoc, though vastly outnumbered, stood firm. The Battle of the Stronghold was more than a military defeat. It was a testament to the resilience of the Modoc people and a stark reminder of the cost of forced removal. The war would drag on, but this clash had already written its lesson. No amount of firepower could easily dismantle the will of those fighting for their home. The Modoc had won the day, but the larger struggle for their land and freedom was far from over.